So I want to talk to you about practicing for poker. This is the strategy that I use, and I want to share it with you. First, I'm a lifetime member of Advanced Poker Training and play against sort of simulated AI opponents. It gives you a lot of analysis. You can see right here, report on history. Um, I have played quite a bit on this platform. I have about 358,000 hands played, and it has a very dynamic and functional back end to analyze your hands and give you feedback. However, I tend to pair that with a poker coach because it's good to know all this information. For example, let's see, we come to, let's look at the hands, for example. What kind of hands you've played. You can look at the chart and see which hands you're profitable with, which hands you are unprofitable with, and you can see that through different time spans. There's a skill analyzer that goes through criterias that they've determined the best players on their platform have and how you compare to those. For example, in this one, it says when you were a pre-flop raiser, did you defend often enough against a three better? Well, apparently I defend too much, so this is something I need to work on. Now, knowing that information is one thing. However, knowing how to fix it is a whole different thing. So I kind of want to give you an idea about how I use this platform paired with poker coaching AI that I have created that's available for 100% free to anyone that you can use at any time on your phone, in a live cash environment, especially not at the table between hands. You can talk to it and it will give you feedback. And I want to show you how I use it with this software. So now I'm going to pick a room. I'm going to pick this one that's called Poker Party. The strategy that the opponents have here, they do a lot of open limping. They're medium uh, level players. Now, they play more like human. I can also select GTO style players, but since we play cash, I tend to go with the human like. And the blinds doesn't really matter. I just leave it at 5-10, and you can pick and choose different criterias. One of the cool things is you can pick the level of the players that you have, make them more aggressive, less aggressive, very passive. You can also, they have their own built-in advisor, but I find the functionality very limited, so I don't mess with that. You can also pick a position that you want to play over and over again. For example, if I wanted to practice, my button strategy, I can just choose to be dealt hands on the button, and I can also pick the exact hands that I want. For example, I have a choice between playable hands, raising hands, all suited connectors, all pocket pairs, or I can even put in a custom hands. For example, just I want to practice pocket jacks on the button. It will feed me over and over again pocket jacks on the button so I can get as many hands through as possible. So, having said that, I'm just going to go with all hands and all positions. And we're going to start a session. I'm going to make the screen a little bigger to make it easier to see. And it's going to run through hands. We're starting with 1,000. The blinds are 5-10s. And I just play. And for what I do is I play them as I would, and when I come to a spot where it's a difficult decision, then I use my poker coach to analyze that spot and analyze that hand, and I will show you multiple ways to do that. In this spot, it's an easy check with second pair, bad kicker, and we're gonna fold. Now we're in the small blind with king queen off, bunch of limpers as we expect, and we're gonna raise it to a bigger size. Let's go with we get one caller under the gun, and we get a flop of 7-5 Jack Rainbow. I'm going to check it back to the on. He checks it through. Eight of clubs rolls off. We're going to bet small over here. Another eight rolls off. And I think in this spot, normally I would go huge and go for a jam. And we get a fold. Now, let's say this spot was one that I wanted to practice. I'm going to roll it back. And this is one of the really cool features of advanced poker training. Right here, you can click on retry the previous hand. You can also tag it for future reference. You can get advice from their AI. Like I said, I don't really use that. I don't think it's very robust. And you can also see your odds. This is something that I don't really use either, but nevertheless, we're going to go back to the previous hand. So we're going to retry the hand. And one of the other cool features is if we're retrying a hand, since we know what's going to happen, the data will not be saved into our database. So it will not mess up our database about how we play. It will keep it genuine and true to our actual playing style. So I'm going to go to the AI that we've created. It's called Vinton Poker Live Cash Poker Coaching Strategy. And I'm going to ask it simply right here to review a hand with me. Tap that, and it will start the engine to tell us what information it needs to uh, review this hand. And I'm going to talk to it very just like I'm talking to another poker coach. I'm playing a loose cash game with multiple limpers. I have king, queen off in the small blind. Let's get the details right. All right. Starting stack of 1K. The blinds are 5-10. And hero is effective. All right, great. So we're in the small blind and we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 limpers. Under the gun, limps, and another 4 limpers follow. Hero in small blind raises to 100. So let's simulate that again. Under the gun folds and under the gun calls. And we go to a heads up flop of Jack 7-5 rainbow. Now you can say Jack 7-5 rainbow, or you can be more specific. Jack of spades, 5 of diamonds, 7 of clubs, Jack of spades, 5 of diamonds, 7 of clubs. Pot is 250, 250. So in this spot, we checked previously. So we're going to check it again. Flop goes check, and turn is 8 of clubs. Turn is 8 of clubs, and we decided that we were going to bet small. We bet small, about $84. We bet small, $84. Under the gun, calls, and turn is, or I should say, river is, we jam for 806. Analyze my play. We can even tell it as much detail as we want. For example, I could tell it in this spot that under the gun folds, but I'm going to leave that out to get a good analysis. So it says great hand to dig into. The game is live 5-10 with multiple limpers, king, queen offsuit in the small blind. We take a big river jam line after a check flop. This is a classic squeeze stab that turns into a polarized river bluff. Let's break it down street by street with theoretical and exploitative commentary, assuming under the gun is your average loose passive live player, unless you tell me otherwise. So it tries to tell you that it understands the situation, and To be fair, sometimes there is misunderstandings and errors, and you can just clear that up. Um, Maybe there will be an example in this, and I can show that. Pre-flop, hero is in the small blind with king queen off. Blinds are 5-10. Limpers, hero raises to 100 with 5 limpers, and hero raises to 100. Analysis: excellent sizing and strategy in live game with 4-5 limpers. Raising 8x to 12x is not only standard but often required to achieve fold equity and pot control. You picked a solid $100 sizing. So great. Now we know that our decision was pretty solid. We don't have to kind of guess and hope. King queen off in a small blind is slightly uncomfortable due to reverse implied odds, but squeezing is profitable against this much dead money. We are targeting dominated broadways, suited gappers, and middling pairs. The under the gun limp call. This often indicates eights through jacks, suited ace X, king jack, queen jack, 10-9s, etc. So not only it tells us that it understood the hand as we described it, but it also goes into the analysis of what we may be against and analyzes our actions street by street, uh, considering all aspects that we told it to. So we told this AI uh, a little bit about our opponent, but we could even go further. For example, right here, the under the gun player, this is his profile. So we could put that information into the AI to get an even deeper analysis of the hand. And one of the cool ways that I like to do is well, you know what? I'm going to show you that later. We're going to get into it after we go through the hand analysis. The flop is $250 with jack of spades, 5 of diamonds, 7 of clubs, hero checks, under the gun checks. Perfect. It understood exactly what we told it very well. Analysis. This is where the line diverges from optimal. Let's zoom in. You raised pre-flop and got called by under the gun limper, whose range is capped and passive. This is a dry, and this board is dry and disconnected. No flush draw, minimal straight connectivity. You have 2 overcards and significant range advantage. You have jacks plus, ace queen. They don't. You should continuation bet here 100% of the time. A small bet of $60 to $90 works great. Hey, we didn't do that. We checked it through. So this is pointing out an error in our game. Folds out this bet folds out hands like ace 4 suited, 10-9 suited, sixes, twos, and even some low suited aces, and sets you up to barrel scare cards like queen, king, ace on the turn or river. Leaves room for balance, value, and bluffs later. King queen up makes a decent flop bluff on this board. The check, it doesn't like the check, misses fold equity, and concedes initiative. The turn bet, 250 in the pot, 8 of clubs, hero bets 84 under the gun. Analysis, now you're betting into a range that checked flop, likely weak 7x, 8s to 10s, some floats like queen jack, king jack, and suited ace x. Your small bet sizing here is consistent with building fold equity against weak one pair hands, protecting your range. If you would bet flop with real hands like jacks, eights, queen jack. The under the gun call tells us marginal one pair hand, maybe 8x, 7x, jack x, or even under pairs like sixes that would float pre. Perfect. That's what exactly was my thought process. Your turn bet is good and it's good sizing. We're now semi-capped since flop was checked, so your careful river planning is needed. We go to a river with 418 in the pot. It does all the math for us. 8 of hearts comes on the river and hero jams for 806. Analysis. This is where things get spicy. Let's unpack it. You jam 806 into 418, nearly 2x pot. That's strong polarized move. What story are you telling? If you had aces, kings, queens, you would have bet the flops. Exactly. You'd never have eights because under the gun would rarely limp call you and check the flops. I'm not sure what that means. You never have eights because under the gun would rarely limp call and you check the flops. All right. Uh, this is one of those things that if we don't understand, we can ask it. So we can just copy that and we can ask the AI. Maybe ace, moving on, it says maybe we have ace eight suited, but even those are questionable pre-flop from the small blind. What does a river jam target? You're targeting to fold jack X, tens, nines, maybe weak 8x or stubborn 7x. It's an overbet bluff, which is fine if your opponent is capable of folding a bluff catcher. You can wrap hands like jack 8 suited, 8 7 suited, 5 suited, but again, many are questionable pre-flop. Problem: live players at 5-10 don't don't fold their pair or trips. You're bluffing into a range that is way weighted towards jack X, 8x, pairs like tens. Unlikely to fold 2x pot unless villain is thinking reg. Solver view. This jam makes sense if your opponent is folding 50% of the bluff catchers, but live exploitative view, this is too ambitious. Most under the gun limp callers unless versus most under the gun limp callers unless you know they are capable of folding jack X or weak 8x. Alternative line, exploitative, flop, c-bet 80, take it down, or set up a second barrel. Turn, bet 160 to 180, fold out jack X or set up a river bluff if needed. River, depending on the texture, you could bet 200 to 300 as a bluff to fold out marginal jack X, but not jam. So it doesn't really like the line that we took, and it explains why. Mental game insight. You took a bold line, and sometimes in live poker, this can be a massive fold. This can get a massive fold, but remember, unless you're playing against strong, fold capable villains, 2x pot river bluffs are rarely plus EV in low to mid stakes live games. Most people don't fold trips. Your jam is GTO inspired move, but it may not fit live pool exploitative strategy. This is where this AI shines, guys. It shows you the difference between what all the solvers say you should do, which are geared towards very thinking players and more online players, versus a live environment. Yes, we are simulating this game on this platform, which is playing against AI, but my goal is not to beat this platform. My goal is to increase my win rate in live game strategies. So this insight is extremely useful. Now, going back to that one line that we didn't understand, it's a great example how you can ask it to clarify things. I'm going to just copy this line and say, what do you mean by this? And paste it. And it's going to explain to us what its thought process is and whether or not it made any mistakes that it wants to clarify. It said it's an excellent question. Let's clarify the point. It hits on an important concept in the hand reading and line credibility. When I said you never have eights because under the gun would rarely limp call, you check the flop. I'm addressing your perceived range from villain's perspective. In other words, what strong hands you're typically repping with a river jam. Let's break it down. You have eights. You never have eights. Why not? You raised to 100 pre-flop from the small blind after 5 limpers. That is a big sizing meant to punish limpers range. Most players in live 5-10 do not use pocket eights as a raise to 100 from the small blind, especially over so many limpers. Exploitative truth, live players often just complete or over limp small pairs in this spot, not raise 10x. So unless you are a balanced aggressive player, most villains don't believe you have eights here. So this is saying why, from the under the guns point of view, in a live environment, it's a hard sell representing pocket eights. And of course, it's difficult to have quads, especially the way the hand went down. You check the flop. That kills your value line. The board is jack of spades, five of diamonds, seven of clubs. If you did have eights, you'd flop an overpair to fives and sevens and strong medium strength hand. On a dry board, when you are a pre-flop aggressor, you're supposed to c-bet for protection and value. So when you check this flop, you're telling your opponent, I don't have overpairs. I don't have jacks or sets. I'm likely to give up the pot or pot control with marginal hand. In short, you cap your own range. Perfect. So as you can see, it goes and explains anything that you may not understand or find fishy. So let's go back to the hand and replay the hand. First, I got to finish the hand. We're jammed in this spot. He folds. We're going to replay the hand based on his AI's, I say, his recommendation. So, what was his recommendation? Alternative line. C-bet, $80. Take it down or set up for a second barrel. So, it liked our pre-flop raise to 100. We're going to replicate that. And now on this board, we're going to take his recommendation. We're going to bet $80 into 250. And we get a call. And let's see. On the turn, it says bet 160 to 170 to fold out more Jack X and sets and set up for River Bluff if needed. So with 810, 820 behind, we're going to go for that 170, right in between 160, 180 range that it recommends. And he calls, and now, depending on the texture, you could bet 200 to 300 as a bluff to fold out marginal hands. So in this spot, we're gonna go for 750. Let's go for 350 and see what its recommendation is. And we get a call with a 7. So actually, I like my line a little better. Let's go back and play the hand over again, changing a few things. Again, we're going to bet 80 as it recommended. We're going to go smaller to set up for a river jam in this spot. So we're going to go for 1/3 pot on the turn and then jam the river, and we get a fold. So let's update the player profile. Let's explain the player style that we're going up against to the AI to see if its recommendations change at all. So we're going to take a screenshot of this box, and this is one of the really cool features that I love about the AI. And again, guys, this is the AI is built for a live cache environment, and we're playing against bots. So it's really not, even though the advice that it gave us didn't lead to the outcome that we wanted on the software, it's not really meant for that. It's meant to open our eyes to what we should be doing if this was in a live environment. So let's give this player profile. This is the player from Under the Gun. Would you offer any different advice? So it takes the file, and through OCR, it very accurately understands all of the stats. VPIP is correct, 52%. PFR, pre-flop raising, aggression, 3%. Aggression factor, all of this is correct, very accurate. And it comes up with exploitative adjustments. This player is a dream to bluff, and that completely validates your river jam. So now that it understands who we're going up against, it understands the the play that we made, and it's going to tailor its recommendation and advice for this player. This is a very cool, useful feature. With king queen off on the run out of the board, your opponent limp called under the gun, called a small on the turn, and now is facing a 2x pod shove. So now it's telling you that if it understood the situation correctly, here's what we now know. The villain is uncapped, is incapable of hand reading in depth, with his uh, went to showdown of 20%. This is absurdly low. People at live 510 often sit around 35 to 40%. This guy folds everything. He is likely to overfold bluff catchers and never hero call light. What hands does he get there with? Likely stuff, Jack X, weak 8X, sixes, sevens, maybe tens. Never raises those on flop or turn. We know this as his aggression factor and CRF stats tells us that. On the river, he's scared of the paired board, scared of bet sizing, scared of the sizing, and folds Jack X here on a ton. This jam is exploitatively excellent. You're targeting Jack X, sevens, tens, sixes, maybe even 8X. That's scared against this opponent who is fold prone and fear driven. This line likely yields fold at very high clip. So it really likes our advice, our line against this player. So now let's tell it this: the under the gun folds the river jam uh, to the river jam and shows, what was his hand? Ace seven, I believe it was, and we can. No, he has a different. Oh, this is the next hand. Let's go back to the previous hand. He had ace of diamonds, seven of spades. And let's see what he thinks about the hand now. Well, just beautiful. Your 2x pot river jam with king queen got ace seven to fold. A hand that had third pair, blocked a ton of your bluffs. You can have a7 now, and was already check calling the turn, suggesting he wasn't completely disinterested. This fold tells us everything we need to know. Villains diagnostics. Folding a7 off here confirms he's widely underfolding river bluff catchers. He doesn't understand hand removal. His ace reduces your bluffs. He's paralyzed by scary boards and large bets. He's likely to folding Jack X eights and even Queen Jack unpaired wet rivers when faced with heat. Your jam was perfectly timed. From a strategy coach point of view, this is a textbook exploitative overbet bluff. You punished cap check back ranges. A villain with absurdly low went to showdown percentage of 20%, and someone who won't defend bottom middle pairs even with strong blockers. This is how you print at live 10. You just learned villain folds often, overbets bluff more often. He shows a fold like a7 of diamonds. He's folding everything but two pair. Plus, next time, he folds everything but two pair plus next time. You now can have you now you can now massively increase your bluffing frequency against him on paired scary or draw completing boards. You have effectively calibrated his folding threshold. Now it's pure exploitation mode. So now it's telling us, look, this is what you learned about this player. This is how you're going to exploit him for the foreseeable future until he detects some changes in his playing style. But this is what you should be doing against this kind of player, especially in a live environment. Anyway, so that's a brief explanation of how I pair two tools to help me grow my skill set in live cash environments in the privacy of my home on my laptop. I have to say that the advanced poker training, although it does come with a free trial, I think you get to play 50 hands per day. But to get access to all the detailed hand analysis and your personalized reports and all of that, that I'll make future videos about. But to get all of that, it is a paid service, but it is well worth it. It will increase your win rate tremendously. And you compare that with my AI that I've created, Vinton Coaching. It's on built. It's a custom GPT built and built on Chat GPT. So even though it's free, you do need a Chat GPT subscription, which I think you can get for free. But nevertheless, it's a valuable tool that you can use at the table to analyze hands, and you can ask many questions besides that. For example, we can ask it, anything from these conversation starters to any other question. For example, we're at a table, we just lost a big hand. I'm on tilt. Help me. And it goes through having a conversation with you to help you. This is having a very experienced live cash poker player as a coach on the rails with you, always in your pocket. You can use it on your phone. My recommendation is use it between big hands, get up from the table, take a walk, and talk to the coach and see what it says. And all these conversations are available to you for later review, and it's going to dramatically improve your game. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Your feedback in the comments. Let me know what you think of the chatbot that I've created, how I can improve it. It's not perfect, but I hope to improve it as much as I can in the time being. Sign up for the advanced poker training software. If you don't have it, I highly recommended. The link for that is going to be in the description of this video, plus all my other links. And subscribe to the video. It's going to really help to get the message out, and share it with someone that might find it useful. Thanks very much, and talk to you later. Bye bye.